Good morning. This is Norma with Norma Talks. Now, because the 1st of April is coming along on Saturday, I am doing my reading for this coming month. It's an interesting one. So without further ado, I'm going to put the picture up. I've had a little bit of trouble with it this morning, but you'll be able to take a look at what we've got here. You will notice I have edges. So I'm really happy about that. I actually have them still played out in front of me here down as well. One of the things I noticed in the beginning with this as we're coming in, and I took a look at the timeline on it, and I think basically for the first 10 days, we're still in March theoretically, but the reading begins in April 1st. It's like the uncertainty between the Queen of Swords and the Four of Swords. I just think the first 7, maybe even to 10 days is really, there's a lot of concern and worry. And a lot of that has to do, of course, we know because of the so-called money crisis, banking crisis, etc. But I just really feel that people are just hesitant, really, really hesitant. And it's not after, and I'm going to call the 10th. It could be a couple of days earlier. It's like all of a sudden there's like hope or a sense, and that's with the Three of Wands here. Where is that heading? Where is that going? And feeling like, oh, okay, everything's going to settle down and be all right. That lasts for maybe 3, 4, maximum 5 days. I don't even think it's 5 days. And then comes the Ten of Wands, worry, 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 worry. Can't see the wood for the trees. Oh my goodness. So already what we're looking at here is up and down like a yo-yo, and then it all evens out again with the Nine of Cups. So I just feel between like, it's just going to be the first 20 days. It's just going to be up and down like a yo-yo. It's like, yes, it's going to be okay. No, it's not. What's going to happen? Up and down, in and out, really just not sure what's happening and what's going on. So consequently, what I think is really important here is as we're moving from the 20th of April, again, uncertainty, up and down, like if you've ever lived on a yo-yo string, this is the time that you'll be doing it. Then that we're looking at unsure, not knowing what's what. It's almost like it's dire information. I almost feel like there's a news flash coming in that's dire, and everyone is going, oh my goodness. And then the adjustment with the Seven of Wands is having to readjust, have to figure out, what are we doing? How do we do this? And then again, as we're getting towards the late 20s, the end of the month, is that, it's a breath, like, oh, it's okay, and it's the last symbol, the Queen of Pentacles, like, oh, it may not be perfect, but it's okay. I'm feeling like, it's the only money symbol in here, and it's like, oh, the material world settling down. I really think that this month you're going to feel like you're up and down like a yo-yo. Now, April 1st, which is Saturday, of course, has always been called as April Fool's Day, or as some people think and say, the beginning of the real beginning of the new year. And we have so much hesitancy. There is no end result in this. This transition month of April is like, whenever you look at these symbols, even though the Ten of Wands says an end, you can't see it. It's not, you don't know. It's just all transit, little moments of respite when everything is going to be okay. If we look on the left side, we got the Queen of Swords, the Emperor, and the Queen of Pentacles. Again, it's all stationary. It's all stuck. Then we take a look on the right side. This is where it shows the light. The Nine of Cups, the Three of Cups, again, down to the Queen of Pentacles. Shows here is like, don't get overexcited. Enjoy what you have. See what you have. Know where you're going. Know where you're at. And even the center line, which is the Three of Wands, Seven of Wands, and the dear old Queen of Pentacles holding everything at the bottom. Just I think I've only been on one roller coaster in my life, and that was enough. Maybe 2. but I didn't like my roller coasters any which way. And consequently, it is a roller coaster month. I think no matter which way you look at it, April is going to be a roller coaster. So I'm going to put the pictures down and pray that we're all back here, normal, natural. I wish it looked a little different, but life is what it is. We, as people who just live in this world, don't always have a lot of say in really what's going on. And we certainly don't have say in the financial. And in fact, more and more, we're getting told this is how it is without any real input at all. But this particular reading to me it doesn't have any real flow to it. People who have readings with me or energy work know one of my big things is things must have flow. You want flow. You want the energy to be smooth. You want it to, like, this month does not flow. If at the end of the month and everything has just flowed simply and easily, I would be super, super surprised, because it is not flowing. It is this, then there's that. It's like breaks. It's like maybe little bits of news come out. Let's say everything is going to be okay. Excuse me. And then bang down again. And then it's like, oh, yes, it's going to be all right. Then bang again. It's like there is no flow. So be prepared for the up and down that goes through the month of April. And with it, when, I like to think about what can I say that helps the perseverance through these ups and down times. Mainly it is listen to yourself. The Four of Swords, listen to yourself. Nine of Cups, you know what you've got, know what your resources are. Watch out from everything that's coming at you, because the only higher arcana symbol we have in this one is the Emperor, which is very stuck. The Emperor has got to the point where, he's a little cynical, a little unsure because of his experiences in life. It's the only major thing that's governing. The higher arcana in the tarot is always the larger picture, the more spiritual picture, the more awareness picture. And we only have one of those symbols showing up here. When it comes to the mental, we have three, the 3, the 7, and the 10, which again, that's what the mental attitude that we have in relation to your life. Things are moving out. The uncertainty when you're feeling like, what am I supposed to do with this? And worry all over the place here. The Cups, the value, it says here, everything is fine. Everything, you're fine. And to enjoy the process. This is a process that we're going through. Enjoy it and know that you will survive this. Sometimes we forget that. It looks so tremendous or horrific. And especially if you're listening to news, often it just makes things more amplified. Sword says the answer lies within you, but then comes that one of the 2 attitude cards, which is the Queen of Swords, who's kind of holds everything in and not too sure what's going on. And then finally, the Queen of Pentacles, which is the only pentacle, says, yeah, there's limitations, uncertainty, but I'm good. I'm secure. This is a hodgepodge. When I first put this out to look at it, I went, oh my goodness, if this was a person's reading, I would be really saying, be aware of the basis of where you come from, because you're going to have to hold on, because of the no flow, because there's no continuum. It's like being in a car and you're constantly changing gears. When the old time, when you had a clutch and a gear shift, you're constantly changing gears in order, to look at how the hills and the valleys and everything went. It would be just like not foot to the metal, that's for sure, because every time you think you've got a straightaway, you hit something else different. This will be an interesting time for each one of us. What is our resolve? What is our ease? What is our sense of purpose, our sense of being? What do we understand of how to create? I think for each individual, the important thing will be is how you create. Creation comes, first of all, from thought. And then the emotional quotient that goes with the thought. The thought here would be, no matter what, you will survive. This is economic. This is political. This is out of our hands for sure. We have no control over what's going on. But what we can be in command of is how we respond. Do we get frightened? Do we get unsure? Do we get uncertain? When you live through several things in your life, you begin to realize that no matter what, you come out the other end. You cannot get tied up in the bigger picture. You can use the knowledge. You can go get knowledge. That's the one thing with the internet these days. We have much more access to knowledge and awareness, alternate newscasts, alternate elements of looking where you can get information, or you can go back out and find what's the best thing to do in an information way. Friends, talk about what's going on. What are you doing? How are you doing it? Learning how to deal, honestly, I think it's to a degree how we respond to what is coming down this month, of maybe a little bit of mayhem, and not to get frightened. I didn't see a lot of fear in here. I got worry, anxiety. Which way do we go? What do we do? And as I said, because there's no flow, it doesn't show the end result. So we're not sure where May is going to go, because that follows April. And as everyone seems to be saying, time seems to be going fast. You know, in January, which usually is a long month for people were saying, isn't the month January going fast? Same with February. Here we are in March, and now we're heading April, the fourth month of the year. Now we're beginning to see how things, hey, the weather's nice. We're getting more blue skies. All those things are very, very optimistic. I wish this was a little more what I would call an easy flowing month coming up. Doesn't show that, but one thing I've learned over the years as a reader, as a person that looks at what's happening in the world, things can change, and they can change overnight. And it's not always predictable. Things are not always predictable. That's why philosophically, how you live your life is incredibly important, because what it does is actually help you deal with situations that come up over which you have absolutely no control over. Your philosophy of life, how you perceive life. If you perceive life like the emperor, which was in this coming month's reading, it's like you're cynical, you don't believe, there's no faith or trust. It's like life has worn you down to the point where you kind of hold on to some real basics, and that's it. But the reality is that there is so much more, no matter what. Yes, we get tested in life sometimes because we only have control of a little bit of our lives, if you think about it, because it's all created by, those are in control and how we respond. But they cannot tell you how you feel in relation to your own inner being, that your connection to whatever you want to call the divine, I call it a lot the love force. You have access to that supports you, that can give you a sense of direction, that shows the bigger picture, that gives you a sense of where you're heading and where you're going. Perhaps how I'm looking at April will be absolutely the opposite of the difference. Doesn't feel like it coming out of March, knowing what's happened in this last part of March. Coming in, it probably is fairly accurate. But the thing is, I always say, and I've said for years and years, it is not the event that is important. It's how you handle the event. And for those of us that are aware a little more of what's happening on the money end of things, on the economic things, the political things, perhaps, it's about being prepared and making sure that you're taking care of your world and your sense of being. that you find peace and you find harmony in all that's happening and all that is going on. Life is an experience. And right now, we are experiencing many, many different things on a personal level, on a professional level, on a anybody level you can have, and a monetary level. Yeah, we just never know where it's coming from next. There's so many different changes happening right now. I got a note from my bank saying they're changing how they're going to do everything. And at first, the tendency is, oh my goodness, what does this mean? So I looked at all the paperwork and everything, and basically, not a lot for my life is going to change at all. But for many others, it can. And it has, as far as I can see, lots of ways of getting us to move into their new digital concept of how they want us to live. And so it's like, oh, yeah, well, it doesn't affect me too much, but it can affect a lot of people, perhaps in a year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years in the future, because things are changing. We live in changing times. And sometimes it's just like the reading for April showed: 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's learning to juggle life. And it's always nicer in some respects when everything is a nice flow. And when it's not a nice flow, it's like, oh, what's happened? And you have to kind of wake up. And in a way, it is a way of waking up. Remember this, that there is within yourself a bigger journey that you're taking than just what's happening in a material world. There is a bigger journey. And I have to say, I just heard this morning, and I don't want to be emotional here, but I feel it. My ex-husband, father of my 2 children, a person I fell in love with when I first saw him in the doorway, not knowing he was a Canadian and that my whole life would change, is that I loved him. But unfortunately, our paths passed, and now he's gone. He passed over at 12:10 BC time this morning. Very happy to say that my son was there previously and felt the vibration of my daughter, who's already on the other side, to come help him on his journey. And I had asked her for that because I knew he was close. There is a beginning of things and there is an ending of things. Sad sometimes. And I think April's a little like that. There's a viewpoint that there's smoothness of this time period coming into maybe a more rocky period. I saw it a little bit last month, but this month for sure it's there. Know that you yourself as a spirit and that life goes on, whether you're in physical form or not. And those that are in physical form deal and cope, because one thing, another little saying I have, if you need strength, ask for the strength and it will be given to you. We are connected to a force that loves you beyond measure, but you need to ask. You need to know what it is you need and want for your emotional, your mental, your element of your own spiritual growth. And I think that as we move into April more, I'll be back to more regular looking at number 5, symbology, next week. Norma Talks. In the meantime, the Sunday Thought will be coming up, and Mental Mind Treatments continues on Monday nights. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. And if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, which I will be putting together in the next couple of days, please email me you can always contact me through the website, normacowie.com. And I wish you well for this upcoming month, which we will begin on Saturday. Bye for now.